Welcome to the Bylines New Voices podcast with me, Brian Scott Smith, powered by ctexaminer.com in collaboration with CT Community News, where each month we'll highlight stories from up-and-coming student journalists from colleges and universities from across the state of Connecticut. On this episode, we're highlighting the work of student journalist Jenna Outcalt. Jenna, thanks for being on the podcast. So tell us how or what got you interested in journalism.
I actually went into journalism. I chose it as my major in college almost on a whim. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that I wanted to write. And so I just picked journalism, English. I randomly selected journalism. And the more I did it in college, the more I realized how much it meant to me and how exciting it was and how much I love talking to people. And that's what really drew me into it and is keeping me into it.
We're going to be showing a piece of audio reporting by you. You mentioned about getting into journalism and writing, but of course, this is writing and then some. So, how did you get interested in the audio side of it? Because really, journalists today have to be sort of like multitaskers, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I got into it in the first place is because I just listened to a lot of podcasts. I loved the interview format. Interviewing is one of my favorite parts, even of doing written pieces. And I wanted to see if I could do that myself since it's something that I enjoyed listening to so much. So I went for it. I took a class that had to do with it. And the more I learned about it, the more I thought this is something I really like doing.
Now, you're already accomplished because you are a correspondent for, I believe it's a podcast called Planet Forward. Talk to us about how that came about.
So Planet Forward is a student journalism forum where people can submit their stories or students can get hired as correspondents. I had a professor named Scott Wallace encourage me to apply, and that was a huge motivating factor for me. I applied to Planet Forward and I got hired as a correspondent. So I produce environmental stories for them throughout the year.
So, talk to us about what we're going to be hearing. It's a very important and I would say underreported story.
A lot of the reporting I had seen on food insecurity, which is a big problem, especially in large cities, and we're right next to Hartford here in Connecticut. A lot of that reporting was naturally very negative because food insecurity is a big problem. And there were even students at my school who were doing really great work reporting on food insecurity around us. The more I was looking at these pieces, the more I thought there's got to be something positive out here, solutions that people are looking at. And I am really interested in solutions journalism. So I decided to look into something I had heard about a couple of years ago, actually, because it was a UConn alum who had started this organization. And I looked to see if this organization was still doing what they were doing and fighting food insecurity in a very unique and interesting way. And they were still going strong. So I decided to reach out to them.
Can you give us a sense of how long it took you to put together? Because it's a 10-minute piece of audio.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because the actual recording piece all happened in one day. I went to their headquarters in Hartford and they were massively helpful and welcoming and friendly. And I got all of my interviews done in the span of a couple hours. I walked around the facility with them. So really what it came down to was weeks and weeks of researching and editing and talking to my professors and my editor at Planet Forward and re-editing. And there's probably a million different versions of the podcast saved on my poor laptop that was running out of storage with it. But a couple weeks of editing and refining were really the main battle here that it came down to.
How proud are you of the piece? Because we can be our own worst critics.
Hearing my own voice over and over again was the hardest part for me. I never had to do that before, and I didn't love it by the end of the editing process. But seeing the final product, I did feel really proud, especially because this was my first time pursuing an audio story. I'd never really done anything like this before. So seeing it as a finished product and kind of listening to it with fresh ears when it was finally published, I felt an immense sense of pride.
And what sort of reaction did you get from either your fellow journalists or from professors or maybe even friends and family?
In terms of friends and family, I think they were a little surprised. Nobody thought that I would be on a podcast narrating. Everyone kind of knew me as a writer. I write for the school newspaper. I mostly focus on writing in my classes. And I don't think anybody saw that coming who didn't already know I was pursuing it. But they were all very happy with me. I heard a lot of good things about it. And of course, all my friends and family were hyping me up over it. But I got a lot of positive reactions from my professors and people that I really look up to, and it just meant the world to me.
Well, it's been great talking to you. Congratulations again. I'm going to let you introduce it so that we can all hear it.
I'm Jenna Outcalt, a journalism student at UConn, and this is my piece, Growing Green, about food insecurity and the people fighting it in Hartford.
I'm just over a mile from the highway in North Hartford, standing in what for a long time was a vacant lot. Now it's overflowing with fruits and vegetables, all created by a Hartford-based nonprofit working to fight food insecurity. I'm Jenna Outcalt, and you're listening to Growing Green. Food insecurity is on the rise in the United States. According to the USDA, about 18.8 million people are in food deserts, meaning they are low income and don't have easy access to a grocery store. In Connecticut alone, over 1 in 7 residents struggle with food insecurity. However, there is one nonprofit in Hartford working to fight this and develop the community. Levo International, developed by UConn graduate Christian Hayden, has created a farm directly in the city, and they're not stopping there. Levo officially started in 2016 when Christian had a very ambitious idea for his Eagle Scout project.
I basically stumbled in the backyard of my Scoutmaster's house on simplified hydroponics in particular, and he had done it in the Dominican Republic close to 30 years ago now, and explained the benefits and how simple it was to build and operate.
Simplified hydroponics is a method of growing produce without soil. The roots of the plants are instead suspended in a nutrient-rich water. It can produce faster growth and higher yields while actually using less water than conventional gardening.
And I was like, I've never even heard of this. This is nowhere. Why is this not everywhere? I was like, let me build a hydroponic. I worked in DR, so let me build a hydroponic greenhouse in Haiti. And that was kind of I was like, that'll be my Eagle Scout project. Turns out the Boy Scouts, not huge fans of the idea of sending a 16-year-old to Haiti.
Christian ended up doing his first hydroponic project for his high school in West Hartford, but he didn't give up on Haiti. And it wasn't too much later that he, his brother, and his father all visited the country.
We started working with this Iowan-based missionary organization, Many Hands for Haiti, down there, and that's where we started working. And fell in love with the country and the people, and most excitingly is our systems worked.
So what does simplified hydroponic farming actually look like? Christian took me outside to show me the rows of horizontal pipes lined up on wooden frames, each one blossoming with food.
All it is there's a bin at the base, which is kind of like your 27-gallon Home Depot tote. The water gets pumped up to the top pipe, and then it gravity feeds down and splashes back into the bin. And so the idea is basically that there's always water in the pipes. So like right now, the pump's not running in this system, but these pepper plants still have access to water. And that's the model that we've been developing for Haiti, is that you can run the pump only a couple times a day and still have really good production. The incredible thing about these tower gardens is that they're super flexible in what you can do. So, we're looking at parsley, but if you go and you look at, just walk down this row of systems, if you look, right, you can see we've got broccoli, we've got peppers, right, 4 different types of peppers. There's 3 different types of systems that we do here. So you've got 6 pipe systems, which are for your kind of your leafy greens, your lettuces, your collard greens, things like that. And that's 218 plants in one 20-foot system. So you can basically produce about 36 heads of lettuce a week out of one of our hydroponic systems. And we've got about 100 here.
For the first few years, Levo was mainly focused on Haiti. Although there are still continuing projects there, the organization has expanded both internationally and back home in Hartford.
We've done some work in Oaxaca, Mexico, and working some school systems in Oaxaca, and we work now in Puerto Rico and Yabucoa. And then in the U.S., for the last 5 years, we've been playing around with first what we did in Haiti is a backyard model of hydroponics. But we realized very quickly that if we wanted to fix the food system, we needed to actually get into the farming space. And so then we, for the last couple of years, have basically ended up developing our own approach to urban farming, scaling up simplified hydroponics, and building basically this really exciting model that it's not just a food source. We've built a model that's really a primer for community development, leveraging farming and food production.
I take this really seriously because I was raised in Jamaica. And my mother farmed, and it was her farm that initially supported us to go to school before she got a job in the public sector.
That's Corrine Blake. Her daycare in Hartford partners with Levo to teach the kids about agriculture and connect them to the food they eat.
Every year we have, since we've got our system, we've done 2 or 3 crops with them, providing the technical support, troubleshooting any problem. Anytime I call, they're always there. Daycare, childcare in Connecticut is going to a whole different process and different levels now. And so I'm envisioning that soon we can do something like this in any family childcare. The land space that you need is minimal. The amount of daily attention is minimal, but the experience, the knowledge, the understanding is phenomenal. They go inside with their 1 leaf of lettuce, their little plastic fork, their 2 tomatoes that they picked, cut them up, and guess what? Children who don't normally eat vegetables are eating it because they grew it.
My name is Cornelius Williams. I'm originally from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia, and I moved here in 2022. I'm now the farming director for Levo International, but I actually started off as a volunteer.
Cornelius, who goes by Ron, has a background in agricultural education and management. Now he keeps the farming operations on track at Levo.
So my biggest role is to ensure that everything stays alive and producing, and that the team generally knows where we're headed and what we're doing. What we've found out early on in when I started with Levo is that persons just think everything comes from the store. They have no idea the process it takes to get fresh produce to their homes. But we're here trying to we're making it easier so anyone can grow something for themselves to live a happier, healthier life.
I'm Anthony Harris, and I've been working for Levo International since February 24th. And I love it. It's a great place. It's calm. It's fun.
Anthony is a hydroponic technician at Levo. And what does that mean?
The hydroponic technician just maintains the system, fixes any leaks, any plants that are rotting, take them out, replace them with new ones, any buckets that are doing bad with algae and stuff like that, clean it, take it out, replace it, really just maintenance. My experiences with Levo was positively impactful. I was kind of going down the wrong path before I came here, and it's honestly life-changing before I got here.
Levo's current site in Hartford was vacant for 25 years before they moved in. Since their lease began in January, they've made it into a fully functioning farm.
Our pitch to the community and increasing buy-in is that, people are realizing what we can do all over the city in their community. So, we are transforming the community, and we're doing it at a speed that nobody would have thought possible.
Levo distributes its food partially through a community-supported agriculture farm share, or CSA, where people pay upfront for a share of the produce. They also have a farm stand that they're looking to expand into a year-round market. The rest of the food is donated.
The goal is not to donate, is to get it in people's hands, buying it, because that creates a sustainable revenue stream for us that keeps this economically sustainable. The risk of growing and donating is just that if you run out of grant money or donations, you can't give anyone anything. And so the idea is, can we drop that price point? Can we subsidize and underwrite it with sales to suburban communities to make it affordable and accessible for the community here in the north end of Hartford? I think the thing that's really exciting that Levo's developed is this very inclusive model where we can do a whole lot with very little. People think of us as a hydroponics company, and we are, but we're significantly more than that. Our model is a way for North Hartford residents to help lift themselves and their community out of poverty, grow healthy food for their community, beautify their community, right, in a way that's not risky. for the media community, but also then still can bring in that development long term that we want to see, but also bring some residents in. It's just a really exciting model that we anticipate not only having a huge impact here in the north end of Hartford, but being a model that we can replicate.
Christian says he sees Levo as a way to get people, especially youth, more engaged in their community. The organization employs dozens of high schoolers in the summer and works with local schools to teach more than just agriculture. Levo is determined to create a new generation of leaders that can make the world a happier, healthier place. For Growing Green, I'm Jenna Outcalt. Thanks for listening.
Don't forget to visit ctcommunitynews.org to read and listen to all the stories you'll hear on this podcast in the coming months, powered by ctexaminer.com, reporting and supporting what matters. From Bylines New Voices, I'm Brian Scott Smith. Thanks for listening.